And we're finally live on the internet.
Hello, hello. You're listening to the Goggler podcast. Ian, Bahir, and Uma with you. This week, we're going to be talking about three newish movies. We're finally reviewing F9 or Fast 9 or Fast and Furious 9, depending where you are in the world. The Fast Saga. We're going to be talking about the new Disney animation, Ron's Gone Wrong, as well as an Indonesian documentary called Kemarin. But first, I have a rant.
Uh-oh. Everybody else, get down.
There be this idiot on the internet. Hey,
Just one.
Lots of idiots on the internet. But this one in particular doesn't have an excuse because he's the senior film writer for Variety. He's Matt Donnelly, and he decides to tweet out in an Eternals spoiler, a post-credit spoiler, no less, after the first premiere screening of Eternals, which took place, I think, Monday night for us, or Tuesday, something like that, or Sunday night. I can't remember when it was. Anyway, it was early in the week, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty massive spoiler. I mean, there were rumors about the spoiler, but you'd have to dig pretty deep to find those rumors. So it's not like it's something everyone knew about. It's not like, oh, in the Fast 9 trailer, Han's back, right?
What?
Yeah. Also, like, I don't know how many embargoes he broke. And now, don't get me wrong, I think embargoes are fucking stupid anyway, and they're just a way for corporates to kind of control the narrative. But you fucking signed one to watch this movie, so the least you can do is follow it, right?
No, I have a question. I think it's based on the. Okay, hang on. I don't know. Better way to do this.
Fuck that guy.
Yes, but also, did he break any embargo on the NDA that you signed, Umar? Because you've seen it. So what I'm trying to get at is the fact that we've signed NDAs for Netflix, for Disney, and they have they literally will state certain things you cannot say. Was this one of those things you think?
Including, and to be fair, there have been times when we were getting ready for this very podcast, and I was like, by the way, guys, it says tomorrow.
We should probably check.
It either says
we can't
tomorrow.
Talk about that yet.
We can't talk about the live, or there's actually, by the way, I think it was 1 week we missed something, or we came very close, and I was like, just couldn't paste this into the Slack because there's 5 points listed. We should be sure we don't miss them. Mention them.
Well, I mean, the embargo was very clear, right? Don't spoil the film. Don't spoil the end credit sequences. But also, you were only allowed social media reactions, and I know that's a very vague thing. But I think it's widely understood in the industry that social media reactions don't include any sort of details. It's supposed to be how you feel about it at that specific time, which is why so many social media reactions are bullshit, right?
Yeah, well, the language is usually social sentiment, right? So it's like, I loved it, or it was great, or it made my heart grow 2 sizes, or shrink 2 sizes.
Correct. And but this was like, and spoilers for Game of Thrones for anyone who hasn't seen the finale, but. It's a few years old now, but USA Today, the headline was Game of Thrones finale, Bran is king. That was the fucking headline, right?
Yeah.
And this was like that. He tweeted it out. He didn't even say, click the link for this great breaking news about Eternals.
No.
So even if you happen upon it, and this is what I don't get. I understand it's news, right? And I understand as a journalist, you're supposed to tell news stories.
But
you also have to respect the audience.
But is it news though, right? So I was shocked. I was less shocked by the content of the tweet as more to the fact that he actually tweeted that thing. Because like, and I was reading people's responses to him, and there were a lot of people who went, "Holy shit, that's a spoiler," and other people were like, "Oh, but he just said that. He just said this guy is this guy, or this is the casting role." But that's not the point, right? Like, the fact that it hasn't been announced means that the filmmakers are trying to save it.
Yeah, so people will enjoy it. And I don't know what the spoiler is. It completely missed my timeline because I don't follow this dipshit, and I have a very nicely curated timeline, and it's the only way to do these things, and it's because I follow people who don't do this kind of crap. And if someone does this, you get one chance. That's it. You're done. Unfollowed, blocked, and unfollow. And Variety should get a block. I think I've also unfollowed There's some of the, I might have unfollowed the Hollywood Reporter, or I put them in a separate list so they don't appear in my main, because I think they might have done the headline thing before as well.
Yeah. The problem for me was that it was Twitter's suggested topics thing.
Oh.
You know, it's just like, it was, because everybody was tweeting about it. So
you have got like latest tweets turned on anyway, right? You're not seeing...
yes, I've got latest tweets turned on.
Yeah.
But it's just that, sometimes suggested topics.
Yeah.
This is what the people are talking about. And I'm just like, that
Follow
was
like,
the tweet.
the people.
They're like, hey, Bahir, you like
off.
Marvel movies. You tweet a lot about that. Here you go.
I'm just like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, and then the problem is, because it comes from a source like Variety, who should know better.
Yes.
Within seconds, everyone has it as a headline, right?
Yes.
No, not the outlets I follow. Goggler didn't have it. I love that place.
Yeah, we know better.
But most of the sites I followed, they didn't mention what it was, because they're good sites. And I think it has to come down to morons don't learn. Same with politicians, unless you vote them out, whether it's your money or actual voting. So you say, I'm sorry, no, you don't get to continue your job. You're bad at your job. Get fucked.
Yeah, that was a dick move. And also, even if you whatever you think about it, he also broke embargoes. And I'm just like, that in itself is a dick move. You signed a document. Come on.
I've never heard of this guy. Is he a new guy or something? Or
he's listed as senior film writer for Variety.
Yeah, senior. What's the title mean?
It's like how everyone at Astros is senior vice president.
Everyone at Goggler is a senior editor.
Hey, correct.
But yeah, don't be. It's. I think it was Will Wheaton's rule of the internet. Don't be a dick. Oh, it was a Penny Arcade. Don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
That's being a dick. You're ruining other people's fun. It's more fun. The reason why we do this is walking home from the school, telling your friends about the movie you saw over the weekend, but you don't tell them the end.
Yeah.
You tell them about the awesome gunfight or whatever.
And you know what? I spoke about this when we were reviewing Shang-Chi as well. Like, I avoided all kinds of news about Shang-Chi, and I was really glad that no one spoiled the post-credit sequence for me, because when I watched it, I was like, ooh, I did not expect to see them in this. And, and that was a great thing, right? It was genuine excitement, which we don't get. Like, we barely get that in movies because of everyone, because of behind-the-scenes stuff, spoilers, fucking trailers ruining shit.
Yeah.
But that's what we're at. I think trailers
is the Fast 9 review.
Yeah, the trailers I think are one thing, but I think like on-set photos, all that kind of stuff, don't click. There's all the stuff is out there. The metrics are out there. People are seeing it. If that shit drops off, then people stop doing it. It's why we don't do Discovery recaps anymore.
Yeah. I refuse to click that shit. Yeah.
And I mean, for me, for me, there's one simple rule with regards to having seen a movie before anybody else has seen it. If you have to ask yourself if it's a spoiler, then it's a spoiler. Yeah, easy. If you have to ask yourself, could this be a spoiler? Once you've already asked that question to yourself, it means it's a spoiler.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, Matt Donnelly. Meh.
Yeah. I don't know how to do overlays yet. I was looking into it recently.
Yeah. We at Goggler do not support you.
In the meantime, just meh.
Yeah. Screenshot that. Screen grab that. There we go.
Screen grab that. Yeah. All right. Rant over. DC Fandome took place last weekend, and because we live in Malaysia, it is at a ridiculous time. So I watched half of it, and then I couldn't stay awake anymore, so I went to sleep and caught everything else in the morning.
I woke up. I watched it during the week. It was great.
Can I just say, before we talk about the Batman trailer, which is the only thing everyone was waiting for, but if you lived in Malaysia, you'd have to wait until 3 a.m. I found this better than Netflix's To Doom, because the stuff they announced was genuinely new. Like a lot of the stuff that Netflix announced in To Doom, whether it's the Bridgerton stuff and all that, it was all news before the event. Meanwhile, the Black Adam stuff, the Flash look, even all the comic book stuff they announced, and the conversation they had with Bruce Timm and J.J. Abrams about the new Batman animated series is all new information. So I was like, oh, look, I'm learning new stuff about these shows I want to watch. It's not just reiterating stuff that we've seen in headlines and tweets, right?
Was it snappy as well? Did it move like at a pace?
It was a lot faster.
Like, so it was like, hey, here's your Flash bit. Here's now we're to Batman or whatever else.
If you watch the bits, And if you get a chance, I mean, if you see some of the intros later, I want you to think about whether, like, I thought these people seemed genuinely more excited to be there. But even The Rock, like when he was talking about Black Adam versus Red Notice,
Right.
it feels like someone caught him. It feels like someone caught him while he was having dinner and went, "Hey, stand in front of this green screen and record this."
But is he a producer on Black Adam? He's been wanting to try and get that
yes.
made for a long time.
More than a producer.
whereas
I think he drove the project.
The Ezra Miller intro was just like, what drugs are you on? Because I need to stay away from them because they seem to be deadening your soul. Like, he's just like, I'm really excited, and we got all. He kind of perked himself up after a while, but it was just super awkward.
But isn't that just Ezra Miller in general?
That's what I mean. It's like, who thought it would be good? Like, put him beside the director or somebody else.
Get the director.
Get Alan from catering beside him to just like do the intro, and then once he's warmed up, hand over to Ezra. But they showed a surprising amount for what they had when they said we don't have much, but then they showed a good bit. Fuck yeah! Just put Michael Keaton. Why isn't he there?
I mean, but hearing his voice alone, I was like,
Oof. Yeah, that was great.
But man, that Batman trailer, dude, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Actually, I wasn't sure about Zoe Kravitz, and then I kind of saw all the shots, which seem like a lot of that imagery was lifted from the Tom King run of Batman, but it looked cool. I think they did that intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. My issue with this Batman is that it's another Batman movie. It's another sort of dark, gritty, almost the beginnings of Batman again. You know, I'm just like,
it looks like it's like year 2 because he's chummy with Gordon already, right?
I think therefore maybe year 2, yes, because there was that comic that was year 1 or year 0.
Yes. Year 0, year 1, year 2.
Miller did year 1, and that was a revelation, and then everyone's like, we'll just rip it off and do all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it looks good. That version, or the way they've gotten the rights for Nirvana now, is just like, it kills me a little bit that it's out there like that, but that's the way it's doing. Did you notice at the end of it, when he's walking towards the car, it just turns into something in the way filtered via the Imperial March from Star Wars through synths. It's like, it's just like missing it.
It sounded like that.
It's just that with some of the things, because it's like that Peep Show sketch. It's just like, are we the baddies? Is Batman the baddie in this?
Right.
But also, that scene at the end with the Penguin in the car was a clear homage to Nolan's Joker scene, right? Only his head wasn't out the window.
Yeah,
like the way the camera was placed and the car was swaying.
You saw the tweet that someone tweeted, which was about fans going crazy about, this is a completely fresh take on Batman, and then they just put side by side comparisons of everything. That's just going to happen. I mean, you're not going to see Batman on the beach. Right? You're never going to see that in a trailer. You're never going to see him shopping at Macy's. It's not in that overview. Chasing someone in a car, he does that a lot. It's his day job.
At Macy's and the beach, both those things happen in the Tom King run of Batman.
Does he wear Bermuda shorts when he goes to the beach?
Yeah, dude, he's in like swimming shorts and stuff. And
with the cow?
And I think
with the cow?
No, without the cow.
It's Bruce Wayne, right?
He's on holiday with Selena, but also both he and Superman switch costumes, right, in the changing room at a departmental store. It's kind of funny. But yeah, no, you're right. He chases people a lot. There are alleyways where people are shooting at him and he's beating them up.
I'm a little worried about that. They seem to be like leaning into him being bulletproof, which I'm not sure if I like. Like there's a shot early on of someone shooting at him point blank range, and then later on there's like multiple. It's a cool corridor shot, but there needs to be some downsides to the suit. Like the Nolan Batman's had like, you can turn your neck more, but there's less protection, right?
Yeah.
And it's also, or this is better against
against bullets, but not against daggers.
Knives in the side. The slow blade will pierce your shielding, as it were. So I hope they have some kind of downsides to that. I mean, you can still shoot him in the face, works pretty good. No one ever does that though. And he hasn't got a big bright logo as well to distract people, which is what they retrofitted that to mean. So
yeah,
I'm just still blown away by Colin Farrell. Like that just doesn't look like who's that guy?
So crazy. Yeah.
I'm blown away by Colin Farrell, and I'm also I'm genuinely impressed with the way Batman looks, because I think it looks different enough for me. Because the Keaton costume was distinctive, and then what Schumacher did was something else. But then the Nolan costumes were also
nipples.
Yeah,
Just say it, nipples. Nipples on the batsuit.
But the Nolan costumes were quite distinctive as well, and I liked the Nolan stuff because it was more like a Bond Q thing, right? Yet again, Nolan and his Bond fascination. He was always with Fox talking about it, and then this one feels like the first time we're seeing the rough and tumble. Like we only got a glimpse of it in Batman Begins. Yeah, but this one feels like it was
the
homemade.
assembly suit. Yeah.
It's the same with the Batmobile. It feels like it's fucking homemade, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that scene when he's coming out of the fire.
It's wicked. Looks good.
I love that shit.
I do wonder, is this going to just acknowledge the world of the Joker? Because the henchmen he looks like, or the crew he's beating up, looks like the sons of the Joker or something, right?
Yeah.
It's true.
Like lean into it. Just say the Joker's out there, but he's in Arkham or something. Fuck it.
Yeah. I think I'm looking forward to it. March 2022, May 2022. I can't remember. 2022, March. Okay, cool. So not too long away. The Batman. What's his name? The writer, Mattson Tomlin, actually has a Black Label comic book coming out, and I don't know if it actually ties into the movie at all, but it's called Batman the Imposter, and I think it's just like a mini-series. So they asked the writer of the movie to write a comic book. Maybe it connects, who knows? But
nice.
I'm excited about this one. This will be good. Actually, I have to say I'm excited about The Flash. I mean, all the imagery we saw was really, really cool. And I'm genuinely excited about Black Adam because I thought Shazam was one of the much better DC movies. Like,
it's fun.
It's a lot of fun, right?
I'm just slightly worried because like Black Adam is a villain, and they've got they've got Silver Fox, Pierce Brosnan in there talking about playing Dr. Fate and Hawkman. I don't know who the fuck Cyclone is. Who's Cyclone? Any ideas? Any take it?
Cyclone is in Justice League Unlimited.
She is, you mean?
Oh, did they gender swap? Oh, yeah, they gender swap.
There's some other names as well I didn't recognize them. Like, oh, you're all gonna die. Like, none of you are Shazam. You're all gonna get murdered by Black Adam, and then at the end of like the, because there's like something they're waking up. What's her name? Sarah Shahi, is that her name? Sarah Shahi. They wake him up for whatever reason. The Justice League Society of America try to take him down. End of the movie is like Dr. Fate's mask is in his hand as he drops it to the floor, and then like Zachary, I want to say Quinto, but it's not Zachary Quinto. It's Zachary Levi turns up and is like, and then that cut the credits, and like Black Adam will return in Shazam 3 or whatever,
Yeah.
But I know a friend of the show, Gavin Yap, is excited to see Dr. Fate on the big screen, and I think that's something cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
I'm also excited that it's Pierce Brosnan.
I mean, it's interesting, but it's not the guy from The Mummy who was the Dr. Fate in the DC animated stuff as well. What was his name?
No.
Love that guy.
Oded Fair.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a great voice for it. So.
Yeah. No, but DC Fandome had a lot of cool stuff, and I'm sure if you're following that kind of information, you would have caught up by now. But we're excited about the Batman trailer. Something we're not so excited about, or that left me feeling a little weird, was the Cowboy Bebop teaser that they dropped.
The last session.
Which they also made very clear when they dropped it. This is not a part of the series, but something that we shot just for this teaser. I have a feeling they said that because it looks a bit crap. Guys, come on! Watching it, it feels so fucking disjointed because it felt like all of them were in different rooms and not actually talking to each other because all of the lines don't land.
I feel like this isn't for us. It feels like this is for the younger people. Look at all the colors. Look at all these.
Look at all these cool cuts.
Yeah, because it really feels like a. You know what it feels? It feels like.
What you should have done, Ian, is allowed us to like reach over and then like grab someone else.
Ain't nobody got time for that. That's just
no. Ian does neither has the time nor the computing power for that shit.
Yeah, we're barely broadcasting right now.
No, but it feels like one of those things where a production company will put together as a showreel.
Yeah, and it's leading me to just bad thoughts about the series overall because they look great, but they're still leaning into they look like cosplayers doing a version, a realistic take, a dark, realistic, gritty take. David Goyer's stuck in Cowboy Bebop. And I don't have anything problem. The concept is this cool little thing where it's a little bit like Scott Pilgrim-y in like, the trailer had them all like the evil X's kind of the dividers popping out and stuff like that. Yeah. But they're interacting with a divider that's the line that's between the borders that are going between scenes. And it's something that comes from the credits that they've done. Yeah. That comes from the credits of the original Cowboy Bebop. But I don't know, my memory's failing me. The show itself didn't use that style, right? It like I usually end up thinking of the one with the shuttle and it's like Spike sitting in the desert waiting for taking the shuttle the Bang Jack's shuttle up, or running through rainy, kicking the shit out of someone in the 7-Eleven. I think that's the beginning of the movie. I can't remember, but it's shot like normal. It's not. Yes. It's not Fooly Cooly or FLCL as I supposed to have called it last time I mentioned it. It's not supposed to be super over stylized. The style is the look, and then it's cool looking anime. Like you do get anime speed lines underneath the swordfish kind of ship when it's flying, that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to do that. So doing this is like, it's a lot of work, and it's like, okay, it's kind of cool, but then when he does the flipping kick, I'm just like, and then when he pulls over, so it's like it's the stuntman, and then it's John Cho doing this to make it look like he did it. I'm just like Speed Racer. The bad parts of Speed Racer.
I was just going to say that. Like, his roundhouse kick in the cartoon is exaggerated. Yeah. But yet again, no one is expecting that from live action. It looks cool. But this one also seems to be taking it seriously, unlike Scott Pilgrim, which is having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just mostly crash zooms there. There's a few crash zooms in this that work all right. But then it does the same thing the trailer does, which is, and it makes me worried about the series, it doesn't have the courage of its convictions, because then it goes to a fight where it's a normal fight in a room with Spike and a stick. It spins around and it's like
on like 6 people.
Yeah, we can't afford to do the green screen or anything anymore. We'll just take on 6 people and do a little spin thing there. And I'm like, this makes you worried. I do have to say though, Mustafa Shakir is perfect as Jet.
Yeah.
Like he nails the delivery, the style, the vibe, everything. John Cho's on the fence for me, but Daniela Pineda as Faye Valentine, there's nothing to do with her look or anything like that, or that she's not a ridiculously impossible outfit wearing femme fatale from the cartoon. That's anime. You can't do that. But she doesn't come across as like, Faye doesn't give a shit about anything, and kind of it is that femme fatale where they don't care. They literally don't care about anything you have to say or what you. And in this, she's a little bit too peppy, and that makes you worry that they think that Faye would be off-putting to audiences, so we'll change her a bit and we'll change these other things a bit, and they just need to show a trailer that shows the show. If I see that...
No, but this is the problem. That's what's worrying for me. The fact that they haven't released a trailer yet. All they've shown us...
a proper trailer.
Yeah, all they've shown us is the intro sequence and this really weird teaser, because I think it'll be really frustrating if the entire series, like all the episodes, were shot and cut in this way.
If it was, we shouldn't be getting it now. Like between him breaking his leg and everything, it should be ready in 2035, because it would take that long to set up all those things. I mean, unless they're shooting in the volume, you could probably figure out a way to do it with all that kind of stuff. But I kind of snorted with derision, and I don't usually snort with derision, when Vicious turned up. I was like, Jesus Christ. You don't even know Vicious is...
Why are you putting this in now?
Yeah, there's like that weird guy who turns up with the sword.
No, I noped out.
That weird red flashback. Oh, you noped out? Okay, there's a weird red flashback where it's his arch nemesis who appears later in the series and is crucial to the plot and his story. And there was no reason for him to appear for 3 seconds.
That picture that Ian's got, I think I got a little bit further than that. When he pulls it down as a staff, I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm done. It's just so... Yeah, I don't know. It just feels unnecessary. Try hard. Yeah.
And you know what? Normally, I don't pass judgment on a show after watching a trailer because it's only 2 minutes. But this one seemed like it was crafted to give us the feel of the show, because they make it quite clear in the press for this teaser. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know.
But also, it's much harder to shoot this than it is to just cut together a trailer from your show.
Unless your show is terrible looking.
Unless your show is terrible looking,
It's unlike Netflix to wait this long before giving people like a real look, right? In a few weeks, in about 3 weeks.
But also, I mean,
very soon.
When they started this press campaign, they didn't realize that they had a worldwide #1 smash on their hands with Squid Game, so they're probably being a bit more precious about the rollout and worrying about, anime fans can be aggressive and bad for your business, and you don't want to mess with them. But we don't want to be all negative because I think the Bebop itself looks great.
Oh yeah.
The ship itself, you didn't get this far here, no?
Nope.
Like they have a kind of a spinny. We're starting very, very Space Sweepers shot where you start upside down on the door and then kind of spin around it and everything, and you can see the swordfish parked on the hull.
Right.
And I'm like, nice, okay, cool. That looks cool. The rest of it, we'll see. I mean, if this looks cool, people will just edit this together and put out their own costumes and insert the rest of the stuff live action themselves.
Exactly. But you're absolutely right, Ian. When I saw the photos, I was like, oh, this is okay. And I know you mentioned the whole high-end cosplay thing, but watching this teaser, I was like, nope, you hit the nail on the head. This feels like Netflix money cosplay.
Yeah.
And I think I've only seen 1 or 2 episodes of the actual anime, and John Cho really feels like he's doing cosplay.
You've actually watched since the last time we talked?
No,
not since the last time.
Oh,
he watched all those years ago.
Yeah.
Update for anyone who's keeping track. He returned my Blu-rays to me.
Oh.
Without having watched the remaining 14 episodes.
No, I just saw 2 and I was done.
When was that?
Bored. Yeah.
Well, it's okay because it's literally it's on Netflix now today.
Yeah.
Hurrah! There you go, bye.
Still not watching it though.
I'm watching it right now. This is good.
All right. Cowboy Bebop. You can actually watch as Ian said, the original anime, which dropped on Netflix. Actually, Ian, while you're on Netflix, did they actually add the Knocking on Heaven's Door film, or is it just the original series? Because they didn't announce the film.
Yeah, hang on. I had it open. I closed it. I didn't want to fuck with the internet, seeing it's we're having a bit of a day today.
Okay, we'll look later and update people.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
But yeah, so Cowboy Bebop is coming out on Netflix next month. You will definitely hear about it from us as soon as we watch it. As soon as we get a trailer, we'll definitely be talking about it on this show. So stay tuned for that. I guess we're going to be talking about our movies now, and we're going to kick things off with F9, Fast 9, Fast and Furious 9, the Fast Saga, whatever the title of this movie
Who
is.
knows?
I've gone with F9, the Fast Saga, because that's what IMDb says. So
yes, I think that is the official American title, because on the US posters, that's what it says.
Oh,
so
okay.
F9, the Fast Saga finally hit Malaysian cinemas. It was obviously delayed because of COVID.
Spoilers, it's about family.
And all the old gang are back, even some people who you thought were dead. Hey.
All the gang are back.
All the gang are back.
All the gang are back.
And
even people you didn't realize were in the gang are back.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
back. Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea that Rooker was in this film. I was genuinely excited when he showed up as the mechanic. I was like, hey!
It's great.
Yeah, okay.
Rooker's great. But anyway, as I was going to say, God help me, I fucking love this movie. Like, I genuinely do. No, like, and it's not even a so bad it's good love. It's a genuine full-hearted love. Like, I'm watching this film, and just to draw a comparison to another movie that we reviewed recently, Zombie-topia, maybe, and just to say how a movie like Fast is so completely committed to what it's doing, that it is incredibly intricately plotted. Like, I'm watching it and I'm thinking, okay, yes, this is ridiculous. It is illogical. Actually, to be fair, it's about as logical as a James Bond movie, but we don't seem to have any problems with that.
I mean, I did mention in the I couldn't write a review because it's been out so long everywhere else, but I did mention there's just like, we're going to track John Cena via his biometrics. It's like, what?
Sure.
Fine.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Sure.
You know,
exactly.
Someone just throws him a gun. Someone famous who I didn't know was in this film.
Somehow off this gun, they got like the ability to track him through every camera in Edinburgh. I'm like,
I know, it's great.
Sure.
But yeah, and it's so intricately plotted. I'm just like, actually, they've laid down the groundwork for every ridiculous story plot point that they're making. So much so No, I mean it's a ridiculous
laid down.
groundwork.
No, but I think laid down the groundwork in previous movies is that it implies this intentionality, which it's not just Dom who lives his life quarter mile at a time. They plot this series quarter mile at a time.
But buddy, they're doing a much better job than Dom.
Oh yeah,
than Bond, right?
Totally better.
Much better job than
but
Bond.
They've because each installment has enough in there. There was so many things I wanted to put into the review, but it was just like some people actually haven't seen this movie, so I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But there is there are references to 4. Like there's a singer who turns up and she's the sister of someone who was in 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like they get Shea Wingham for one scene. Just one scene.
He's in it for like a minute.
Yeah, less. I think it's 35 seconds. And it's just to say and it's not they get him to explain one airplane ride. All the other airplane rides doesn't matter. Whatever. But like that could have just been who was the guy who was Mr. Nobody's sidekick in one of the previous movies in case Kurt Russell wasn't available?
It was Clint Eastwood's son.
Yeah.
Scott
Eastwood. Yeah.
Scott Eastwood.
Even there's like we're not going to get Kurt Russell for the whole thing. But we can get him for a few scenes, so just use those. What about Scott Eastwood? Fuck him. We'll put Shea Wingham in. Like it's literally that they have enough. They have enough of these characters that like Justin Lin just picks in them. It's like you could have random security person here, or I mean, they don't really see too many new ones in this, right? It is the MCU. They have got their own MCU.
Yes, they do.
Where it is like hey, and then when they actually reference Leo and Santos, and they actually get to you see one of them, and that's like okay, cool. They're mentioning these things. It's not like they're forgetting them.
Yeah, and the thing is, all of it, I was just impressed with the plotting of it because, I haven't seen those old movies in a long time, but it immediately clicked back into place as these names were mentioned, and I was like, no, wait, for that to happen, it meant that I was in some way invested in these films because otherwise, like, I can't remember some of the TV shows I've watched last week or who was in them.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that these movies are so fucking engaging, and watching this, and it's a long film, it's 2 hours and 24 minutes.
220,
Yeah, and for it to keep me engaged and involved and actually invested in these characters, it's impressive, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found this out. Saying it's a hard watch is not fair. I was watching. I wasn't bored, but just some of the things just threw me out of the film.
Was it the bridge jump at the beginning?
The bridge jump at the beginning. I mean, it's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. But like, for fuck's sake, that was Dom's plan.
But the thing is, that's the thing. It was his plan. If you've seen,
Correct.
like, they've actually, what's wild is they've scaled back on Dom's car Jedi powers.
Yes,
like,
they have.
he's still, like, there was, I think it's, which is the one that's, the way, we always have this conversation, it's like trying to figure out what the name of all the Pierce Brosnan Bonds are. You go through them and then you have to find, or naming all the members of Boyzone. You have to go through and figure out which one you've missed. There's the one with the tank, I think, which is the Owen Shaw, Luke Wilson one.
Five,
where Dom and Letty should be dead because they both jump out of vehicles in opposite directions, hit each other, and instantly cancel out each other's, momentum.
Inertia.
I think it's known as the Cruise Doug Ray Scott thing from Mission Impossible 2. That's the only ever time it's been pulled off successfully. Whereas in this, he just nudges a car to either save or kill someone. And like, there's an intentionality in that. He hits that post and then he yanks the wheel to trap the remainder of the post.
Correct.
So he knew exactly. When you saw that in the trailer, I was like, he's so fucking dumb. When I'm watching it live, I'm like, okay. He turned. Yeah. He turned the wheel.
It's the same. When I was watching, there's this whole scene with giant magnets, and when I was watching in the trailer, I was like, it's a bit extreme.
Magnets?
And then
I'm on board.
And then when they pull a car through a building, I'm like, this is great.
They don't pull out any of the supports in the building, though.
or how late? So how in that chase, that car gets pulled across a building into the van that had the magnet?
Yeah, because it was the right spot. Like earlier on, it was rocks and there was stuff in the way it wouldn't go through it, but it was a glass panel either end.
Sure.
They'd knocked out the walls and they put glasses in, so it was like it was a Spar or a Sentra or something,
Sure. But then later on in the movie, when they turn on the magnet, it doesn't get attracted to the cars with the magnet. It gets pulled up to the truck behind it.
Yeah.
I don't even. I cannot.
Science, Bahir, science.
Yeah.
It's not science. That's the problem.
It's movies.
The problem is no. Also, did they just discover magnets? Because this movie's got magnets.
No, but again, you have Tej and Roman are there as like the R2D2 C3PO of this, where they just explain everything.
yeah.
Where they, and like he says to Ramsey.
When did Tej become a master mathematician?
I think it was soon after 5. I think.
Okay.
When they were like, why? Like it's around the same period. They started asking in every script meeting, why is Roman here?
It was around the same time Dr. Bashir became a genius on DS9.
Well, yeah, they mistreated him. They mistreated that character. Didn't know what to do with him. But no, it's like Tej has gone from repairing engines to like planning out everything. But
to how fast do we have to go to avoid landmines? Well, according to my calculations.
yeah, and that's they're playing into the tropes, and that works really well. But he even mentions the fact that like, there ain't no kind of industrial magnet this small or this like powerful. I ain't never seen nothing like this. And you're like, okay, cool, there we go. Tej hasn't seen it. It's
and that just feels
authority.
Like, that just feels like the worst kind of writing ever.
In a way, but
it works.
But it knows its audience. Like that's enough.
Yes, that's
for
why.
this.
Yeah.
Do you remember that thing about the insane clown posse not understanding how magnets working and like it completely blowing their mind, and then being on like multiple YouTube clips of like magnets. But how? Like they just couldn't. No one had sat them down and talked about magnetic fields with electron flow and all that.
They just
like
to school that day.
They were just like magnets. This is that level. It's like magnets. What happens? They pull together. They push apart. What they push and pull is plot specific, just like every gadget that James Bond has. So it's fine. It works within that Bondian.
Within its universe, right?
Yeah, exactly. And within its universe, for everything dumb like that, they've peppered these smart things. I didn't even mention my review as well, but there's like Roman spotting some guys are up to no good because of their cauliflower ears.
Yeah.
That's a great piece of observed writing. That's great.
Yeah.
Now in Scotland, in Edinburgh, that's not going to work. The location was all wrong because those fuckers are fighting outside the chip shop every weekend.
Yeah.
So maybe, or they play rugby. Everyone's got cauliflower ears who plays rugby.
Yeah.
They could have just beat. It would have been funny actually. They'd beaten up a pair of Scottish rugby players.
I thought it wasn't going anywhere. Yeah, but
even they use the magnets to pull the pins off the smoke grenades. Lucky there was no real grenades, but like that's a smart thing. And
that was a smart thing.
It's also kind of smart that one of the crew doesn't know how to drive.
Yeah.
That's smart. It's funny.
Like they haven't spoken about it in all those previous movies.
Okay.
And of course, she hasn't driven in all those previous
because
movies.
they're always driving a computer. So that's a nice bit of character development. It's exciting. It's different. It's new. Exciting is the wrong word. It's surprising. It's there's enough in there by here.
And then Vin Diesel pulls down concrete blocks.
Yeah.
Yes.
See,
Because wait, but this has already
No.
been set up. And but this is why I think it's authentic to its universe, right? Because this has already been set up even early in the film when Roman has this discussion about him being invincible, which is a sly comment on how they've all become essentially superheroes. Like when you watch Fast 9, it's like watching an MCU movie. It's Vin Diesel is fucking Thor at this point, right?
And I cannot. I just have I will.
No, you see, it's like poetry. You see, because he does very little in this movie. Like we've also, how long are we into talking about this? We've not even mentioned John Cena's in this film yet. But Vin Diesel is the support pillar for the whole franchise, and he doesn't have to, because everyone else gets so much to do. He doesn't have to do so much. But it's like it's like the antithesis of poetry. The support pillar pulls down the supports. Also, he's fine. Like it's like I thought that was like they're not gonna kill Dom. But I thought it'd be like we're gonna separate our heroes for a bit because that's always good to do going into the third act. No. Then he comes gets him.
I cannot.
Also, can I just talk about that scene in particular because I thought. Just speaking artistically, that flashback sequence was fucking well. Come on.
The witch
that flashback sequence.
Please,
that flashback sequence was fucking well shot, dude.
Oh,
I will say that
it
cut
was beautiful.
Great, that was a great
cut.
Yeah.
From the drag race into the water.
Yeah.
I thought it was like. I was like, this belongs in another film altogether. Yeah, from the water to the house, and then the reflection in the mirror, and I'm just like, hey, Justin Lin, what are you doing here?
And there's a lot of like I can't go to that's so many details. There's like the Muppet Babies version of Dom's crew is in a flashback. There's no reason to cast younger versions of every. Also, the younger version of John Cena is like 3 feet shorter than Dom for some reason.
He grew, buddy. He didn't just
got a
pull
growth
weights.
spurt.
Yeah.
He
Growth
stretched
spurt.
as well.
There was a growth spurt there. It's fine. It's
But
fine.
like
Go
I
on.
was looking at it, and it's that MCU, that little tickle in your brain where I'm looking at it, and I don't know that guy's. I had to look it up. It's Vince, but like that guy, I'm like, oh, that guy looks like that guy, and that thought makes me happy. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I had to go look up to see what happened to Vince. Why? What did I give a shit about Vince? Why wasn't the other guy? There's another guy who isn't there, who's the only character apparently apart from Han now. Han and Giselle, who hasn't come back. He was in the first movie and he never came back. And I'm reckoning he's going to come back for the last two.
I think my prediction is this, man. They bring back Gal Gadot for the last one because clearly
She's
a
the only one
flashback
left.
can explain away death.
Anything. You can
And-
explain anything with the flashback.
Beautiful. And you know what? The flashbacks are pretty good because it's not a bad explanation as well. Like with the Han explanation, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. I'm into that. but I'm like, okay, Giselle's gonna come back for F10, and then F11, Vin and The Rock are gonna make up, and the family will be back together.
Maybe it's all been just a publicity stunt to keep things going.
Big
Exactly.
ruse, yeah. I mean, I
$2
will say
billion
though-
at the box office.
I will say though, this was, I thought, just perfect writing from you, Ian. Fucking the Fast Saga is a fucking soap opera.
It is.
It is
No, but it's that, it's
100%.
this like
telenovela,
it's this, like,
right?
yeah, it's like, wait, you have a secret brother?
Yeah.
Wait,
It's like
What? My undead, my best friend in the world who was killed by a guy who wasn't that guy originally, but then it turned out to be that guy. But that guy's okay now because he's on our side now, and I'm just gonna go for a ride with with his mum.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a soap opera, but it's a
Like-
great soap opera, and I mean, it sells it on. There's the bridge thing, and don't think too hard about whatever the fuck goes on with that truck at the end, because that. Tej says it. He's in a different scene in a different situation, but he says we should be all right if we just follow the rules of physics. And it's like meanwhile on planet Earth, Dom is like fuck the road, the laws of physics. It's like there's nothing about what they do should make sense. And when we talk about the was the calculation that the airport in 7 was like 25 miles long, the runway, because the
never-ending runway.
the never-ending runway. This is also like the frictionless truck roof. There's like a roof the truck just slides on its roof for like 3.5 miles. Like no problem. It's like it doesn't even slow down.
Also, like that truck, I think I blinked and everybody from the truck disappeared, and it's suddenly just Dom in the truck, and then suddenly the other guy shows up.
I think they pulled it back off. They didn't pull it back off. They pulled it back off in another movie, but they.
Because when he breaks into the truck, the truck was full of people, like villains in black.
I think they fell
You
over
stop your thinking.
when
You
it
stop
flipped.
your thinking right now,
when it spun over the first time, Dom was able to run inside it, but the rest of them they got trapped by centripetal plot force.
And he just got pulled out. Yeah.
And then Otto turned up again. And they got
and then Otto came back.
Yeah, Otto came back, and that's one thing. I think Otto's a weak villain. There's no. Otto's a pretty weak villain. There's not much of a character there. John Cena.
Yeah.
When you see him, you think this is grand, but I guess if this has come out before Suicide Squad, it would be better. But as it is, it's
Yeah.
he's a henchman. He's a high level lackey, right? We have
Yes.
no idea why
Yeah.
he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I have to say, for all of the jokes and the memes we've seen on the internet about family and Fast 9, what they do in this film and the way they slip that in is a lot, maybe 100 times better than Evil Dies Tonight in Halloween, right?
No, but even this one, I think you wouldn't even get a buzz on if you were doing the every time Dom says family, every time anyone says family drink in this one.
But
I think the previous
there was
one,
quite a lot of people said family.
No,
Yeah,
but,
but not as many as the
it
previous
wasn't in your
ones.
face.
Oh.
Yeah.
the
yeah.
previous ones, you would be dead, like literally dead drunk if you did the like take a shot every time they say family, because it is ridiculous.
Yeah. And so, I like the. I had fun, man. I had a blast, like a genuine blast. Like for me, Fast 9 is as much cinema as Parasite.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where you go to escape for 2 hours and 27 minutes.
This is
whatever that runtime is.
This is Mask meets Pole Position meets Jason the Wheel Warriors. They just haven't come up with like in the last. I looked at a clip from the previous versions because I want to check a few things, and there is like the one where Brian runs up the similar truck. They love these big trucks and jumps onto the back of Letty's thing. They all have grappling hooks in that one. Like that is very much like we're just doing Jason the Wheel Warriors. Everyone has a grappling hook. Did you remember Pole Position, by the way?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Pole Position was a cartoon based upon like one of the original Formula One kind of racers, like very, very pixely Atari style. But they invented like one of the cars were hovercraft, and they had all sorts of gadgets on board. But same as this, every plot necessitated you to get in a car. You couldn't just like, we need you to go undercover at a restaurant. Dom turns up in his fucking Charger and just drives into the restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And they
sorry,
find
he'll drive into the restaurant and he'll say, "I'm dining family style."
No, and you know what? Sorry, Uma, I'm going to quickly jump in. This does feel like a cartoon. The writing feels like the writing of a cartoon show.
All of them do.
Yeah.
Like a video game meets a cartoon.
No, but I think video games have got more respect. I think this is like 90s cartoon where it's like, I need to do this, so I have to do this to get here.
Yeah.
And then you get here, and then, oh shit, we have to now do that, so we have to do this to get you there.
The travel permits, I don't even know if you're allowed to drive a Charger in Europe.
That's true, actually.
I've never seen one, and it's just like it's on. I think a steering wheel's on the wrong side for a start, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Like,
also
should,
they're probably like, this does not pass any kind of
MOT.
emission standards.
Yeah.
But
No.
even just the
Also
fact that they have a plane to get to South America for the plot to happen, but after that, it's like same thing. That's like they're literally the plot is like it says in the thing. How do they get? Sometime later they get to Edinburgh and their cars are there. There's no explanation of that kind of stuff.
I had to Google that first place because I wasn't sure if it was like Corto Maltese, the place they made up.
Also,
I Googled it and I was like, oh, it's a real place.
Also, they killed an awful lot of people there. Like, they don't generally use guns in this. They only use guns if there is a less than 1% chance of actually firing them, usually.
Yeah.
Like, they'll pull guns on each other, but they'll never shoot them
but
off.
they never actually pull it out.
They killed like 80 people in that opening sequence.
Yeah.
They're murderers, and like intentionally so. Roman himself shot all those guys.
Yes.
But also, I think they've done well to actually keep those car chases interesting and exciting because it takes a lot, right? I mean,
obey the laws of physics.
No, but that's what you want, right? I mean,
the things where a truck is beside you and it flips when you turn the magnet to repel, that works fine. Pulling a car through a building is a bit off. But when they're like, using the magnet to stick a car onto the armored APCs so you can climb out, that's clever. That's a smart little thing. Where it's like that's going to stick there.
But that's what you expect from a fast movie, though. You don't want a Frankenheimer car chase. That's a different thing. That's realistic and gritty and down on the street.
Yeah.
But when you're watching,
you want to see two cars dragging a fucking massive safe through the streets of Rio de Janeiro,
of Brazil. Right?
That's what it's always. Once it did that, that was like. This is cinema. That was
for me.
But that for me, that was the moment because I think around that time I scoffed at those movies. I'm not sure if I still haven't seen 4, but I did rewatch most of them going into 6. I think it was
right.
Yeah.
And 5 did retool it into this kind of car spies thing. That they did have that in that one. They had to beat the cameras. They had like there's a cleverness to that, and they've been chasing that, and they've just been doing versions of that, and it works. They sometimes go a little far when they put like we're chasing a submarine in the Rock. Was it the Rock or was it Vin Diesel? Like pushed the torpedo. Don't do that. But this keeps it relatively. They make a truck flip and like we've all seen Nolan do that. But it's again. I said in my review, it's relatively grounded when you compare it to the rest of the series. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting.
For me, the Fast series jumped the shark when they jumped between buildings in the Middle East. Yeah,
I think that was a semi-turning point for as well because I went back to look at that to see if it looked as bad as I remembered, and it kind of does. I was watching it on YouTube. There's a channel that because I think it's a car channel was talking about that specific car. Right. And when it's going between buildings, it does look like a game. It looks like a video game, and they don't do that much in this. They don't, and I think that's the key to making the series successful. Is don't do full because I never saw the Need for Speed. Did that do an awful lot of that? Did you see that? The one Aaron Paul?
I saw that, but so the problem with that one was they wanted to do the serious racing driving thing, but so they wanted to do the serious racing driving thing, but they did it in CG as opposed to actual cars.
Right.
So that was they were doing the.
That was one.
And then
they
were doing the jumping supercars thing.
Yeah.
Those suspensions would die if you tried to jump them, right?
But also, I don't want it to be grounded. Like,
I mean, no, but
like
within
reason,
reason, jumping between buildings is like okay.
But I don't even want reason, like because if I watch Mission Impossible, I see Tom Cruise doing the crazy stunts, but he's actually fucking doing the crazy stunts.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, okay, that's like humanly possible if you're Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But for me, watching the F9, the Fast and Furious movies is like watching a cartoon. So but with like live action people in it.
Yeah.
But like something
and
like
I get a thrill
like
when he catches Letty on the roof of his car because I'm like, you know what? Those two are inseparable. They
and
will
it's also
always
like
save each other.
it's also Lynn saying I can make it look a little bit more realistic than the last time.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
The angular velocity will bleed her momentum or some bullshit. But even when a car dives off a cliff and a plane with a giant magnet grabs it, I'm like, I can buy that. That looks like that'll work.
But also I think it goes to what you were saying about the CGI, Ian. Like firstly it's improved. They've clearly got a lot more money, but also they do it in a way that doesn't feel like a computer game.
Yes.
So they use just enough of it.
Yeah.
Right. Like even the car being pulled through the building didn't look too cheesy.
No.
Yeah.
But when it flew between the building. Oh, sorry, this one. Yeah.
In this one, not in the Dubai one. Yeah, that looked like completely like a video game, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, F9. I mean, people are gonna love it. I mean, it's the top-grossing movie, right? You were saying
second top-grossing movie in the world after High Mom, which we completely missed when it came out here because it did come out here.
Did it come out?
It did come out.
It was on the GSC Movies website, but I think it was March, so it might have opened closed.
I think it was
one
one of those things that just opened for a couple of days and then closed again.
Right.
Yeah.
But F9 is showing all across Malaysian cinemas. It's showing in IMAX as well. It's sharing IMAX with Dune. So I think there are limited screenings of both. So it's one of those movies where you want to catch it on the biggest screen possible, right? Because it is a spectacle. It's the very definition of the word spectacle. Although I have to disagree with one thing in your review, Ian. You said Vin Diesel wasn't phoning it in. I mean, it's true because he doesn't have much to phone in.
I think I followed it up with saying, but it's second nature. Like it's not completely nothing, but it is like.
It's grunt acting.
But it's also, I presume he's a producer on this because that's why he gave everyone else. That's why Roman, Tej, and Ramsey and everybody gets so much else. It's why you get Leo. You get mentions of Leo. It's why Mia gets. I can't remember if Mia got to do much in the last two, but
I don't think she was around the last.
Typically,
not like action like this.
Yeah, typically it's always been like, oh, here's Mia. Let's give it. She's minding the kids or some other shit while Brian gets out fun. Yeah. So she actually gets in the action. You know, they get to go to. Although I think. I can't remember because I didn't go back and I didn't have a chance to watch it again. But I think like herself and Letty and Mia, they're at that noodle shop for like 2 scenes where Dom's in 2 different countries. They just sit there. It's like, is that a Mexican flag? And then like Dom is in, then Dom is in London and then Dom is in Edinburgh. So they just sat there for 24 hours or 6 hours.
That ramen looked amazing.
I will say that at this point, I'm not sure where Vin Diesel starts and Dominic Toretto ends. You know, it's just like it's the same guy. It's just
if you follow him on social media, it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Like he literally tweets in platitudes.
And to come back to what Bahir was saying earlier about losing the column pulling, that's very much Vin Diesel being like, yeah, I can do that. That's I can do that. Let me show the movie so that I can do that. Like
it's not enough that I'm taking on 20 guys.
Yeah.
I'm bringing down the building on top of them.
So bringing on 20 guys. And winning for quite a while.
Yeah, that is true though. Yeah.
And also, I love how after every fight scene, no matter how bloodied he is, his face is perfect.
Oh yeah.
Next one.
I mean, I saw it again. I think it's always funny if you go back and see, is it 5 or 6 where himself and The Rock are standing, but they're not looking each other in the eye, and they're shooting them at a weird angle so that one doesn't seem taller. And it's so goofy. In this, at least, John's. I presume they look like they're the same height, so.
Ish, yeah, I think so.
Or at least John Cena knows it's like, I'm going to come back in the next movie because every villain comes back in the following movie. You know, so.
And becomes family.
Yeah. Well, he's already family, so.
Well, he's
actual
technically
family.
Yeah.
All right, Fast 9 is now in cinemas. Let us know what you think once you've seen it. You know how to get in touch with us. Goggler MY are our social media feeds. Podcast at goggler.my, to email us in 012-524-5208, to WhatsApp us on the Goggler hotline. Another movie that unfortunately is dropping at the same time as Fast 9, because this is a very good film that we think may not get much attention, is Ron's Gone Wrong. This one is an animated feature out of Disney.
You say Disney,
And-
but it's Fox, right? It's a leftover.
Well, yeah. So it's 20th Century Studios, which is bought over by Fox, which also owns. I think there's a stake in Locksmith Animation, which is a brand new animation studio. This is their debut feature. They were people who used to work at Aardman Animation.
Oh,
and
yeah, I was wondering.
and so they set up their own shop.
There is a very English vibe
Right?
to certain aspects of this. Not the movie
Very
itself,
English vibe.
but you'll see some things later we'll get to.
Yeah. But the story is essentially about a 13-year-old kid who's, like most 13-year-old kids in movies, a bit nerdy, doesn't know how to make friends, hasn't kind of cracked the code on how to be socially cool.
And his name's Barney. It's not Ron. He's not the Ron who's gone wrong.
He's not the Ron. He's Barney. And this is a world where everyone has this weird Wall-E Eve type device. It's a cross between Eve and Apple, which is what Eve was based on anyway, called Bebots. And they are your friends. They are like robots that track all of your data, learn everything about you, and then become your best friend. And they're also these things that connect socially to other robots, right?
It's Facebook you can't get away from.
It's a physical Facebook. Yeah.
Right.
It's in your Facebook.
In your Facebook. Ron, well, that's what Facebook is now. Ron's family doesn't have much money, but he really wants one for his birthday. He gets one, which literally falls off the back of a truck, and it's kind of malfunctioning and doesn't have the algorithm for friendship, and can't connect to the internet. And so Ron and his little buddy go off on an adventure and learn how to be friends. I mean, that's the basic premise of the show.
Yeah.
But like,
there's lots going on.
We said in our review, don't let that simple premise fool you, because like this show took me by surprise. I enjoyed the Mitchells and the Machines when I was watching it, and it was only after the film that I had plenty of thoughts about where it didn't work. And so I went into this really apprehensive, thinking another tech movie that probably took 5 years to make, and the jokes are going to be dated, and they're going to get all the tech stuff wrong.
And with a person of color leading the company with good intentions, but now doesn't really get, but ends up get caught up in their own corporate stuff, which is a weird thing for these two movies to have.
Right? It's very, it mirrors a lot.
Yeah.
And Olivia Colman is in both of them.
Yeah.
But man, this movie, I mean, Bahir can attest to this. We both got really emotional at the press screening.
Yeah.
The end, right at the end, it was because
I have to say, we're not going to spoil the ending, but the ending didn't play out the way I thought it would. It didn't go down that same trope that all of these sorts of movies do, and I was like, thank you. That's a nice, considered ending. It's a refreshing ending. Yeah.
But
what did you think?
I didn't get to go to the press screening, so I watched it today at the cinema all on my own. So that was quite nice. You took
off that mask and you were like, ha!
You got quite emotional at your screening. I got quite naked at my screening, but they came in and they watched that shit down afterwards, so it was fine. But yeah, I was like watching this, going like, okay, it hasn't got what's it called, DreamWorks face or Blue Sky face. That the characters do have a little bit of their own look to them. That's not quite what we get from other things. Also, most of the kids are douchebags, which is kind of a nice touch. And his family's Bulgarian, I think, is what we get from that, right?
Yes.
And it is just like, it's an interesting take to have. I mean, so you see, I saw the trailer for Enchanto beforehand, and it's like they are moving more into people of color to get more stories of that. And it's interesting. This one feels like a weird throwback. Also, his dad is like Dexter's dad from Dexter's Laboratory.
Yes. Actually, now that you mentioned it,
But the little moments, like when it first turned up, I thought it was Patton Oswalt, but it's not. It's Zach Galifianakis, and just his delivery, like it is less racist. Number 5 from Short Circuit, right? I mean, Number 5 wasn't racist. I think himself. It was the other stuff going on.
No, it was just the fact that they cast a white guy as an Indian fella.
Yeah, Fisher Stevens. Yeah. But his delivery and like. I'm thinking about the Absalom. I'm trying to think I was trying to think my notes how he pronounced it, because he only has the A version of his memory download. That's the thing. He hasn't got an internet connection. So like, he's like, "Is your name Abraham?" Absalom. It's like, whatever. So he assumes Barney is called Absalom, but it's not like Absalom.
Hi, Absalom.
Hello, Absalom. It's like he always says it in this weird way that he heard the kid say, and he does that with a lot of things. There's a point later on. He's like, So how long is, I don't know, maybe forever going to last? Like he repeats back these things. His eyes wander all over his body in an absolutely delightful way that would be horrifying in many other situations. And there was just all these unexpected, weird little joyous moments that had character that you haven't seen in other things.
Yeah.
And they use those moments
of character. Yeah.
Exactly. They use those moments to drive characters. So the scene in the playground with the bullies, I thought was very well executed to set their relationship up, as in Barney and Ron.
Yeah. Also, Ron fucks those guys up.
It's great. And Barney's like, "Oh my god, that was great."
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I'm watching.
Yes, it
I'm
was.
watching this show like you would never see like in Pixar. I mean, the toys kind of tried to freak out. What was the kid next door? Spike, was it? No.
Yes.
Spike.
Yeah.
Spud. Was it Spud?
Spud?
No,
Spike?
Spike.
I thought it was Spud. Anyway,
That's
the
been a long
toys
time.
pretend they freak out the kid.
Yeah.
Ron's just slapping bitches left, right, and center.
No. Yeah.
And it's great. You don't see that. Again, it's under the Disney banner. There are some, again, like Fall Guy, there are some Disney nods in there. There's a lot of them in there that are courtesy elves, which is surprising. I don't know if they were late editions or what because of the Fox thing, but yeah, I was just like surprised at how I was finding myself chuckling all alone in the cinema on my own. And all these little moments, and then like we're going to the woods, and I'm getting ET vibes and this other thing, and I was like, I do think it might have gone on. Like it felt like it had a few too many endings. I thought there was an ending after the woods, and then something else happens, and then something else happens, and that was interesting. And the way it did end at the end was good and enjoyable. And I was disappointed there wasn't early showings last night because I would like to take my girlfriend to see it because I think she would have enjoyed it as well because it's fun. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, me. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. I think, and for me, it's not a story thing, but it's a weird sort of animation thing that I just cannot get over how good they made the Bebots looked. That semi-translucent white thing.
The iMac.
Oh yeah.
The iMac semi-translucent
Like you can
white
see
thing,
on his chest, there's a bit inside, right? Like you can see at the side, you can see the speakers on the iMacs, on the old iMacs,
also,
the big round, colorful
like,
ones.
Yeah, but it's also even when they had these skins on, skins in inverted commas. There's a glow that you still see the white on it, and it just I thought the way they animated the Bebop was beautiful.
And they also thought about the functionality. Like it's a streaming camera that will stay within 6 feet of you. It's got safety features. You can use it as a personal transport. Like they have that compared to Barney because he just has. It's not a Segway. It's not an electric scooter. It's a push scooter.
It's a Back to the Future one
hoverboard
kind of
type thing. Oh yeah.
No, it was the first one.
No, it's literally a push scooter. That's all he has. It's just like a push.
You can use it to play games. You can hijack someone's Bebot and become a bigger robot. I mean, all of that stuff was really, really cool.
Really cool. Yeah, that was a.
You want one?
I totally want one. But I think it's also the way they designed the functionality, right? Like we're talking about here. The Bebot isn't just a robot toy. It's built a Bebot ecosystem in this movie that isn't really about the Bebot ecosystem. I thought that was great.
But also that speaks. I mean, Us Wanting One kind of speaks to the nuance in the film, which I really enjoyed because it didn't. We talk about this in our review. It didn't tar all technology as being a bad thing. There was a very balanced approach. Like, oh wait, technology is an integral part of your life. There are some bad things. I mean, it's very clear that the writers just want you to put down your phones and go out and play, but they don't preach it, right?
But they're also
it's shown in a very nuanced manner.
Yeah, they're also right to repair activists because, like, Granny
exactly.
Donka is just doing all sorts of crazy shit in the house.
Just wants to open a drill.
Come here, I will fix it.
I didn't realize that was Olivia Colman until the credits roll, and I was like, "What the fuck? That's amazing!"
Yeah.
It did a much better job at addressing the tech stuff than the Mitchells versus the Machines in the sense
and I think it's that thing. It's that in Mitchells versus the Machines, it's the machines are bad. Yeah, that's it. Machines are bad. Tech is bad. Facebook is bad. They're all bad. Don't do it. Go into the woods. Live off the land. Whereas here, there's a very sort of level approach to there will be toys in the future where tech will be built in, but you kind of have to just watch it a little.
You have to be careful of evil Tim Cook, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
essentially.
That guy is like that guy's Tim Cook.
Guy was like it was Tim Cook meets Steve Ballmer, right? Because when he runs
Steve
out,
Ballmer's
he runs out.
G, but
he runs
Steve
out on
Cook's
stage
look,
at the end, and I'm like, I'm getting acid flashbacks of that YouTube video of Steve Ballmer at Microsoft conventions.
But he does look like Tim Cook, right? I was like, a moment I saw this is Tim Cook.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I mean, the whole Bebop store, everything is just very Apple designed. Which Mitchell vs. the Machines. I mean, that seems like the go-to trope now when you want to represent the massive tech conglomerate, right?
Yeah. I also just
Everyone
love
in turtlenecks making speeches.
I just love that Ron is like a little hobo, crazy drunk person the whole time as well. Just the weirdness of him.
With the hat.
The hat is genius. Like it's such a, it's you can see in the eyes in the picture there. It's a little bit Baymax, but not too much because it's a hard shell. The arms, the leg, the wheels coming off. Just the stay close, but unless I tell you to stay away, and then like just wandering back and forth.
Yes.
And yes, I will go away. And just the conversations they're a delight, but they must have been a nightmare to write.
Yeah.
To try and get them to feel that effortless, that it's like you're talking like the writers must have had to embrace their inner moron to get it, because he's an idiot.
Also,
He's a
I wonder how
idiot.
much of it. I wonder how much of it is improv by Zach Galifianakis. Right? I mean, did they just tell him
go for
go
it?
nuts? Yeah. It feels like his sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, as far as cartoons that address tech, this one, like I go back to what I was saying. These things take a very long time to make, and I think in the 5 years of development that it usually takes to make an animated features, so much gets lost. I mean, even something good like like Ralph Breaks the Internet, had moments which felt dated, and I feel like this one, there's a message. There's a very clear message. There are jokes that still are relevant and not completely out of date. And
no, but I think sorry, just to jump in, it just feels like they didn't try to tell jokes that would date it.
Yeah.
I think the jokes.
There's no mention, I think, of any pop culture in this really, except their own pop culture. They have their own games and things they use.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. And it feels like they built the.
And Star Wars references are timeless, so you can have Stormtroopers and Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's what I mean, right? Like it feels like all the jokes about tech and the jokes about kids being too close to computers and all that. They've picked the jokes that are timeless. They've picked the jokes that has, I wouldn't say survived the test of time, but in the sense that it works now as much as it did when it first came out, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to picking to a very sort of a joke that is of the now. Because because the movie's only going to come out in 18 to 24 months from now.
Yeah. And the idea that, Barney's dad is struggling to sell novelties on the internet is also timeless.
Yeah.
It's just a funny joke that works whether you watch it in 2021 or 2025.
And that he's still
always
having
be
trouble
people
with it.
trying to sell shit on the internet.
And people will always have trouble with the internet connection.
And I love the fact that like his ability to break shit is like a skill set later on, like in a Fast and the Furious style way, in a Tej way. He's like the anti-Tej, right?
Yeah. No, I enjoyed Ron's Gone Wrong, and I think parents will too with their kids. Like, I know you still can't take your kids to cinemas because you need to be double vaxxed.
And I saw that in play today because there's some people in front of me, and there was a family with I think two or three adults and two kids, and I was like, oh. That's not good because I know in the past, pre-pandemic, you would see. I mean, who was it? Was it the press screening or was it a late screening where someone brought a kid to Deadpool? Right?
Deadpool, yeah.
That was our banner example. But in this case, it was like, this is not good because kids are filthy little bleeders. We want them around the place, infecting everybody.
Mouth breeders.
But the cinema did turn them away, and the little girl was very upset. She was like, I presume it was Ron. I don't think she was looking forward to Dune.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But did you tell her to catch our review tonight at 8 p.m.?
Yeah, I did. And then I gave her a nice paper cut and poured orange juice on it. But it is weird they're releasing it because who can see this?
Yeah. No, and you're right, because unlike even Free Guy, which really needs a bunch of teenagers to go watch that film, this one does skew a lot younger. It skews younger than even the Mitchells versus the Machines, because your protagonist is 13 years old and not going off to college as well. So while there is stuff here for grown-ups and the parents, because God knows we laughed a lot and enjoyed the film, I think kids have a lot to take away from this movie, so it's a shame that they won't be able to watch it in cinema.
And they'll be kept entertained by Ron.
Oh, for sure.
Totally.
Absolutely.
I was fucking entertained by Ron.
Yeah. Ron, what's his full name? I didn't get the chance to transcribe all my notes because I only saw it this afternoon. It was like Ron Kapatsky or something like that. That had a weird...
Something like that. It was a really long name.
It was just a serial number.
It was a serial number, right? That spelt it out. Yeah. No, Go Catch. Ron's gone wrong. Hey, you know what? It may end up on Disney Plus Hotstar sooner than you think. We don't know.
I mean, it will at some
it's
point
possible.
anyway.
Yeah. But this is definitely a movie you want to watch with your kids as well. So check it out. Let us know what you think when you've seen it. You know how to get in touch. The last movie we're going to be talking about.
It might be the film that gets me to break my no Funko Pops rule and get a Funko Pop of.
Oh man! You know what I want to get? I want to get like a. You know they've got the Funko Pops and they've got the one that's slightly bigger.
Yes.
Yes. Funko Tops, Plops. I don't know.
But I want one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's like Funko Minis, which are just like they're not quite so super deformed, right?
No, they're not. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then they make them into keychains as well.
Yeah. No, I don't want those. I want a bigger one. Yeah. But anyway, yes.
You want
The
a
next
large?
movie. Yeah.
Okay, I like a large Ron for Bahir, please.
A large Ron.
Just a large Ron.
Supersize me.
Do they come in skins, you think? Oh, that'd be great.
Oh.
Or you can just draw on your own ones and it's wiped clean like Ron was.
But I can't draw
like Bronny does. Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Moving on. The next movie we're going to be talking about is not in cinemas. This one is actually on Astro first, and we got screener access. It's called Kemarin, and it is an Indonesian documentary about the band 17. Some of you may have heard of them because they made the news in 2018. I think it was covered in Rolling Stone and the New York Times when the volcano erupted near Jogja. It triggered a tsunami, and the band were playing live by the sea when it happened, and footage of this was released at the time, and you see the tsunami crash into the stage in which they were performing.
The water literally comes through the backdrop behind them and knocks them off their feet.
And this is essentially the story of one of the survivors, one of the bandmates, and the story of the origins of this band and how that tragedy has kind of affected him, the wives of the other members, the parents of the other members, and fuck this movie, it's so good. Like, I was not I honestly I wasn't expecting it to be. I wasn't expecting to be crying by the end of this film.
By the middle,
in the middle as well. But also just the way this movie was structured. I mean, just before we get into what happens in it as well, it was so smart. Like the way they structured the film, the way they broke up the story of what happens to the band with the origins of the band, with his emotional journey through this tragedy over these 90 minutes is some pretty phenomenal storytelling. Like it's really well made. And I think it reminded me a lot of Edgar Wright's The Sparks. You guys haven't seen it yet, right?
I haven't seen it. No.
And I say that because I know nothing about the band 17.
I was going to ask, you have any familiarity here now?
I know two of the songs. I think 2 or 3 of the songs.
I know.
And within 5 minutes, I was like, oh. I mean, I was like leaning in and like, I want to learn more about these people. I want to know what makes them tick. And I started really getting into the music as well. So but man, I was blown away by this. I really was. Like,
I mean, just on a production level, you're right. I think to not take the sort of A through Z route which is very easy to do. They interspersed it, intercut it with different timelines at different moments, and
the use of found footage.
Not only that, but also just like how they would keep going back and forth, introducing different members, different past members of the band, and then because initially as I was watching it, I was worried that they were top loading all this information on me to just this is what's happened, this is who the band is, right? And I was concerned that it would feel top heavy for just information's sake, just so you can get into it. But the way they've intercut it really works. It really keeps you invested because when you find out all these things later on, when things happen, the emotional weight becomes a lot stronger. The emotional weight drops on you really hard. And I think, I don't know, I thought this was beautiful. I really fucking thought it was beautiful.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, we say like it does start a little, it sets out what it is about as well up front, and then it is a lot of talking heads talking about the band and talking about it's pop rock, so I don't know. It's huge. It's bigger on this planet. Well, certain types of it are bigger on this side of the planet than they are on other sides of the planet.
Yeah.
But there is a behind the music element to it. There is a reenactment of what actually happened to some of the people after this event happened. There is an awful lot of talking heads. Like even before, it is divided into chapter headings, but those chapter headings don't always break things up entirely. So you have an idea of what's coming. It's not a shock to you see that. You see there's an awful lot of talking head stuff that is incredibly effective because they're just telling their stories and they're getting caught up telling them, and that's just raw. And it's like it goes to what they're trying to do with this. It's not a cash grab. It's not a trying to trade off their old memories. This is a way of an awful lot of the people involved to deal with their grief.
Yeah.
And
Because
create
it was so
a
recent
monument
as well.
Yeah, it's 2018, right?
And and you're absolutely right. I think that's what stuck out for me as well. Just the quality of the talking heads. And when I say quality, I just mean not just the ability to tell their story, but also
they're given the time to. They're not cut away from all the time every 5 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And also that the way they've re-edited that as well, because they only show you the emotion later once they've set you up for it as well. Because if I see 6 people crying about someone I know nothing about at the beginning of the film, I'm just going to be like, what is happening? But by the time I get to that point where the camera's just focused in on these former bandmates, and they find it impossible to say anything because they're just breaking down, I'm already at that point because I've learned so much. I've seen footage of them playing with their kids in the pool, and I'm just
but also you've traveled with them, right? Like you know, when you've seen them go through not necessarily the ups and downs, but just like
there's footage of them as
climbed
school
the mountain
kids
with the band.
Yes.
And that guy who's the original singer. I don't know whether there's some weirdness about the translation for the subtitles or whether it's just like there's certain things they don't want to talk about, but there is an original singer who's bald. He's not bald now. I guess that was a look thing. But he left because he didn't feel like he was cut out for the music industry, or he didn't feel like it was for him.
Yeah, he just left because he didn't want to do it anymore. I think
because
the touring thing was just too much work.
Yeah.
But also there was an earthquake and they stopped touring to help, right?
Yeah.
And then after that he decided, I'm over this.
Better things to do.
Yeah, but it's not really got into. He's just like it's a one-liner that happens. The one problem I had with it was I was weirded out by the footage of like what's going on afterwards. There's footage, and I don't know if it's reenactments or they were just thinking we should record some of this stuff in case it ever makes it into documentary. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I thought those were reenactments.
I presume they were reenactments, but I could have done without them.
When he gets up from bed 2 weeks later and that.
Or they have the meeting with the manager and they're talking about stuff, and it's like because it's like
I wonder if they shot that at the time actually.
That's what I was wondering because if it doesn't feel squeaky, but it feels weird because it's like I don't think it needed it, and it made it feel weird that they were reliving these moments that were very harsh. I mean, I didn't find them as effective as the people just talking about stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you, which is why I thought that it was of the moment because, you know, like for example, there was that one bit where he storms out of the meeting.
And he asked the cameraman to come with him, right?
To come with him, and then because immediately after that, they go back to the house. And then after that, they go to a coffee shop by the road.
Or he asks him, he's going to play something for the camera, and then he decides not to, or he asks him to give him a second.
And then he says,
it just needed a line to set up to say that, you know, in the wake of everything, we thought we should do something for because there is a recurring line about we need to do something for the heirs and for the families of the crew members, the roadies and all that kind of stuff, their families who lost their lives because, you know, the breadwinners.
They're the breadwinners.
The breadwinners are gone, and like there's only so much that comes in from royalties and stuff like that if it's not in the public eye. And also, it maybe it was just from that, but it just if it had an explanation because it was just
like a little line at the bottom.
Yeah, or it was like I've been talking to people like there's two other bands who recommend like we're thinking of doing a song in tribute. Would you be interested? It's like we're thinking of doing that. We got camera crews now to kind of record things, so we could probably use that footage or something. Just something like that because as it was, it felt odd to me, and I don't want to cast any aspersions. It just felt very.
No, I understood. Yeah, and I think it'd be something as simple as, the date of that recording, right?
Yeah.
If it was done after time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, what is it about pop rock bands and the prescient nature of some of their songs? Like the whole thing with Kemarin, the song when they were writing it, how it's about a man who's about to die, and then them debating these, I guess, this philosophies of life and death and the tone of song.
Yeah, prayers should be kept for mosque, not for the singing.
Exactly, not for singing, right? Oof.
Yeah.
There's also
and then coupling that with the song at the end, which is absolutely heartbreaking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also because of so much of the family stuff is just heartbreaking, gripping, and just also very interesting because some of them are talking about these little moments that seem like they mean so much more, and others are talking about like it was just a small moment. I'll remember the look. It was the same look as always, but I'll remember that look. Whereas other people are reading so much more into the last statement, and it's like, neither is right, neither is wrong. But the way that I don't know, it's not spoilers, but like the way the final talking head sections play out, where everyone's talking about essentially how they come to terms with things or whether they have or not, is like it's an extra level of heartbreak on top of what you've already seen.
Yeah.
It's
the survivors thing, right? Because they were all for a couple of them were there in that moment, and it's that thing of like, my brothers in arms are no longer here. It feels really, it's really painful. I just like I couldn't. It was tough. I mean,
there's the one wife who was like she was pregnant when he passed away. So it's heartbreaking that his daughter will never see him and except maybe they'll see this documentary. So
and also I mean,
job.
Just but Ifan as well, man. Oh, he loses everything. It's just watching him and his emotions throughout this movie. It's not, and don't get us wrong, it is not emotionally manipulative in the least.
No.
It is not in any way. It is telling these people's stories.
It's these people telling their own stories.
Yes, it's these people telling their own stories and doing so in a way that is honest and raw. And I mean, when it's done in that way, you can't help but be completely invested in what's going on. I'm so happy we got to see this. It's just and you can too. It's on Astro First, but am I right in thinking Astro First is like pay-per-view, right?
Yes, so it's on Astro First and it's on Astro on Demand. So depending on what kind of Astro you have, I think you get one or the other. Look, honestly, it's $15. It's really fucking good.
If you've ever heard of the music, I'm sure it's well worth the prices as well.
Yeah, I mean, even if you haven't,
if you haven't, it's a weird ask. But like, I mean, I don't know any of their music, and I was fine with it. I really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah. No, I think like I'm gonna buy it just so I can sit my wife down to watch it and just have to deal with her crying for the next
weeping afterwards.
Well, I just play video games on the weekends, but whatever you want to do, whatever your hobbies are, making your wife cry, sure.
Cry over the weekend.
Floats your boat, I guess.
You've been working hard all week, missus. Come here, watch this.
No, but for me, it's just like this is one of those things where I just. You know why? Because we always talk about the bad shit that come out of Malaysia.
Yes.
This is a really good thing that's come out of a neighboring country. If you want to talk about support, this is the kind of shit that you should support.
And this is the kind of thing that's so easy to do badly. If you look at like all the tropes we have about behind the music and all the I don't remember any single episodes of Behind the Music on MTV. I remember the parodies of Behind the Music.
Yes, same.
Yeah.
And
every time SNL would do one, that's more memorable.
The Simpsons, Bart, when he's like, I want to be in a rock band when I grow up, and then it shows him like passing out from alcohol, and he's like, what's he say? Screw off or something like that, and passes out from drugs, and is like, you've changed, man. And Bart's like, that's gonna be so cool when that happens. It's like what's actually delightful about this is everyone's saying that they weren't like even the footage you see that they're totally normal guys.
Yeah.
Like there's a key point which is just like a turning point for any band, which is they could get a bigger record deal, but they would have to lose their manager he was a member of the band essentially. And they decide not to take it, and then they just they take a chill pill almost. It's not like they take a back seat in their careers, but they're like, let's not tour ourselves to death. Let's actually just we'll take a break. We'll record a new album in a while.
Yeah.
They get to be friends in a band as opposed to a band who aren't friends.
This is the opposite of Metallica's Some Kind of Monster, right?
Exactly.
And I think and look, I mean, I like I said, I know some of their songs. I've heard of the band prior to this, but these guys were massive in Indonesia. Right? They were doing 40 dates in 40 performances in 45 days.
23 days. I think it was 23 dates in 45 days.
Yeah. So it's
also the size of those gigs.
Because for those of the traveling
audience,
it's not. You can't just hire a bus to get across Indonesia.
Indonesia. Yeah. Exactly. You got to fly places. Yeah. And I mean, they're fairly big. They went to they performed in South Korea, so it's not some unfortunate gig band that had this thing happen. They're a big band, and I don't know, man. I think $15 for this documentary is absolutely fucking worth it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think even if you've never heard of 17 at all, this is definitely something that is worth checking out. And like I said, 15 ringgit, it's less than a price of a movie ticket these days.
It is, isn't it?
And you can eat your own snacks. You don't have to pay for shit at the cinema.
Yeah, correct. And you can pause, go to the toilet, and come back.
Yeah. One thing, just a small shout out to the publicists for this movie. I mean, this is something that's not going to affect the audience, but it's really useful to us. This is one of the few times where a local production, an Indonesian production or a local production, we got one of the best press kits I have ever received from a local production. No, and I say this because it is hell on earth finding images, clips, anything for us to use on the website, on social media.
Over there.
It's really nice over there. And it is really nice when people put that together for us. Because let me tell you, when a Malaysian movie comes out and you have to hound people and go, can I have 2 pictures? I just need 2 pictures for the internet.
How many movies do we go to where we have to sit there at the... sometimes it's foreign movies and we're like, trying to scribble down the actors' names at the end of it because they're not
because it's not in IMDb.
It's not in IMDb, and they haven't emailed us the names.
No, and Uma, we're lucky if we get already attached 2 pictures, right?
Yeah, just so you're not breaking your streak of pissing on Malaysian productions because this is an Indonesian production. It's just on on Malaysian TV.
But the PR, but the marketing PR team is a local team. Yeah. So I mean, they were the guys I was in touch with, and they had behind-the-scenes footage. They had They had behind-the-scenes photos. They had stills. They had 2 different sizes posters. They had a Malay and an English press release. It's just like it's amazing. Great.
There were certain characters from Fast and Furious 9 I couldn't get photos of.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry. No, actually, it was that. There's very few photos of the cars on IMDb or in the press kit they sent us. There's only a press the Fast 9 stuff. There's only a photos of the car chase at the beginning, and then there's some new stills from a spoilery bit near the end. You know the bit I'm talking about. Yeah. And I was like, those are weird. Okay, sure,
yeah. But no, this was great. Yeah.
Catch Kemarin, Astro First. It's 15 ringgit. If you do catch this movie, we really want to talk to you about it. So get in touch, Goggler MY, our social media feeds, podcast at goggler.my to email us and text us on our hotline 012-524-5208.
Before we finish, we do have a question from the comments, which was Mavin Woon Chan Heen asked, Justice for Han, thoughts from Fast and Furious?
So, Fast and the Furious is a universe where nobody gets cancelled, no matter what you do. So
why was Han supposed to get cancelled?
Not Han, but Jason Statham.
Oh yeah, you can straight up murder motherfuckers and you're fine.
Yeah, and then you become buddies, and then go on your own little adventures together. Get a spin-off movie.
Who blew up the house where the family has their barbecues? Because it's under construction at the end of this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's under construction to this, and Shea Wiggum still has a broken nose, so I think the timeline is still fucked. I think the timeline is still like a coiled snake.
Can we? Yeah.
Either that or his nose was broken so badly.
It was broken twice.
That's as good as it gets.
Like I think Brian broke it in one, and then he either broke it in another one, or Dom broke it later on. So it's like there's a twofer there. But Justice for Han was the thing about Han was murdered in Tokyo Drift, and then Shaw is on airplane saving Dom's baby a couple of movies later, and there's no reckoning, and there is a reckoning in this movie. It's setting things up, right? Oh shit! Yeah. Did you stay after the credits?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it is, but he doesn't care. He's just like, whatever.
But I mean,
they're making 2 more of these.
The hashtag was, I think F9 was the hashtag was justice for Han, right? Justice is coming.
Justice is coming.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the hashtag for this movie. But
Okay.
justice is slightly delayed. There's leaves on the line. It will be along in the next movie, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or in the next Hobbs and Shaw movie.
But it also...
Is there another one?
I don't know. The thing is...
I don't think anything's been announced, but it made so much money.
Yeah, friend of the show, Dave, my mate Dave, was considering that... Remember, the bad guy in Hobbs and Shaw was a weirdly distorted voice.
Yeah.
And his theory was that was Han, and Han was out for justice for himself and was screwing shit up, and he was a big bad guy. But maybe it's Giselle.
We will find out in flashbacks.
Yeah, it's Giselle. It's Gal Gadot now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's coming back, man. I'm sure of it.
I don't know if she's coming back though.
Gal Gadot and The Rock are in a movie together with Red Notice now. It's all coming together. It's all part of Vin Diesel's masterful marketing plan.
I don't know. I'm just like, I think Gal Gadot's just like, fuck that. I'm Wonder Woman.
I'm Wonder Woman, bitches.
Yeah. I'm Wonder Woman. Fuck that.
We'll see how that goes. I mean, the second one wasn't great.
Yeah, that's true.
They've got the same people back for the third one. Anyway.
Sorry, I forgot to mention as well, Cena Statham. I mentioned it in my review. Lucas Black is turning into Jason Statham. Did you see that?
He is.
What the fuck? I mean, he was... Okay, he's in... I don't know what age he is now, but he's no longer the fresh-faced kid from... Tokyo Drift was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
But it is staggering how, like... He's got Statham's cheekbone. All he has to do is ditch the hair, and he's Statham. Screw Hobbs and Shaw. Let's have Hobbs and what's his name in this?
I can't even remember his name. I just know him as Lucas Black.
Shane? Sean? Is that right?
Sean could be.
Maybe. Let's call him Shane.
It's Earl, Twinkie. Why gotta remember these guys? Earl, Twinkie, and I think Sean. Right, Sean. Yeah, let's just say Sean. Yeah,
Okay, Sean.
yeah. They should just pair him up with Statham. Screw it. That'd be great. And everyone they meet can say, brothers? Even like henchmen, bad guys, people passing in the street.
That would be more believable than John Cena and Diesel being brothers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what? You don't even have to make extra room on the poster. It's Hobbs and Sean instead of Hobbs. So swap it out.
Just put a sticker on it. You don't have to print any new ones.
Yeah.
What was that movie we had where there was this, some of the local movies, they have like an LPF sticker or something, or the dates changed?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh
man.
All right. F9, Ron's Gone Wrong, both in cinemas right now. Kemarin is available on Astro First. Check all of those movies out and come talk to us about it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.
Not yet.